Next step is to understand how the competitive arena is built, who are the players there, and then reconcile, or let's say refer to the more general strategic framework of Porter's five forces. Let's move quickly on these three steps that are quite complex in terms of theory, starting from, again, Professor Brandenburger is explaining us how is the competitive.
The game of business is about the creation of value and how this value pie is divided among the different players. But who are all the different players in the game? We start with the business, its customers, and suppliers. We add other businesses that compete with our business for customers or for suppliers or both. These are competitors to our business. There is another group of players important not to overlook: the complementers to our business. These players provide complementary rather than competing products to customers. What is the difference between a competitor and a complementer? A competitor's product and a complementer's product have opposite effects on the willingness to pay for our product. For example, if a customer already has a competing product, his willingness to pay for our product goes down. But if a customer already has a complementary product, his willingness to pay for our product goes up. In this way, we can call complementers the mirror image players to competitors. We can now depict all four different types of players in the game of business: suppliers, customers, competitors, and complementers. This is what we call the value net. The value net has a lot of symmetry. On the vertical axis, we see that just as business listens to customers, business also works with suppliers. On the horizontal axis, we see an anti-symmetry, where competitors lower willingness to pay for our products, complementers raise willingness to pay. With the value net in hand, we see another way to think about complementers. Just as the business can have competitors with respect to suppliers and not just with respect to customers, the business can also have complementers with respect to suppliers. Put another way, businesses compete for resources, but they may complement each other too. For example, businesses could spread development costs across them by selecting a common supplier. So entering the world of complementers is much like stepping through a looking glass. Is the complementer a friend or foe to our business? It sounds like a friend. The complementer raises willingness to pay for our business's product. But at the same time, there is a tug of war. When our business and its complementer sell their respective products, how will value created be divided? Who will be the main beneficiary from this relationship? Will a higher price for the complementer's product mean a lower price for our business's product? Conversely, does a higher price our business can get lower the price a complementer can get? Then there is a counterintuitive idea. The better product a complementer makes, the better this is for our business. And conversely, the worse product a complementer makes, the worse this is for our business. This idea certainly differs from how we might think about the world of competitors. What are other ways in which thinking about complementers is different from thinking about competitors?
So you can easily see that complementers and competitors are a way in which we look at our value chain vis-a-vis people who are competing on the same customer, lowering our willingness to pay, the customer willingness to pay for our offering, and on the other side, complementers are increasing that. We have, let's say, a transaction process here in the vertical way. We buy from suppliers, we sell to customers. We don't transact with competitors and complementers, but we have strategic interaction with them. That's even more important. And this approach for Professor Brandenburger and the 80s take to a very new theory from Professor Ryle in second decade of this century, that basically is an enlargement of this area and is taking into consideration the fact that there is a competitive periphery within the value system we have seen now. So players, producers, end user, and there are a number of people outside, a number of other firms, other suppliers who are competing with us. Therefore, the main additional point from Professor Ryle is that you do not only have to take care of the actual transaction taking place, but also of potential transaction taking place. As you remember before, there is a maximum amount of value a participant of a value system can get, that is the added value. The value he adds is the maximum amount of value he can get. Now, adding the periphery, we will also understand how much is the value, the minimum amount of value that a player can take from the value system. So let's try to see the world of competition with two different platforms. The first platform is providing 200 million of value, and is value network A, let's say Apple, and as Fortnite as one of his complementers in the value system. Then there is another value B, let's suppose PlayStation, that is creating 180 million of value. So overall, the industry in a status quo situation is creating 380 million of economic value. Now, the point is, which is the maximum amount and the minimum amount that Fortnite can get from these two platforms? To answer this question, we must first come back to the Brandenburger approach, taking away Fortnite. How much is the value of all the other players of the network A? So we create a second configuration in which the value network A is doing the same without Fortnite. And you see that the total value drops from 180, sorry, from 200 to 150. Our value network B is steady because is not anything is changing for this B. So we know already that the maximum amount of value that Fortnite can get is 50 million. Why? Because if Fortnite will ask to the Apple ecosystem more than 50, let's say 51, from 200, if Fortnite wants to get 51, the overall remaining network will have an economic value of 149. So we'll be better off of doing without Fortnite, as for the moment is happening. But now let's move on an additional idea, that is the other competitive platform, let's say the PlayStation platform. And here is the idea of Professor Ryle, who is saying, you know, there are a number of competitors, competitive agents are outside your value network who are competing for your network and for doing business with people in your network. So in this case, value B, network B, in the third configuration is getting Fortnite on board. And here Fortnite is creating 30 million of value. So you see value network A in the third step is 150 as this one, but value network B is increased by 30. So now we know that there is a floor. There's a maximum amount of Fortnite can get in the value A, it's 50, but there is also a floor that it must get, it's 30. Why? Because if the value network A is not giving at least 30 million to Fortnite, Fortnite will be better off to go to be a complementers in a periphery platform that is the platform B. And in the platform B, it can get 30. So in the moment in which the value network A is giving less than 30 to Fortnite, Fortnite will move to value network B. So we know that there is a range from 30 to 50 million that Fortnite must get from network A to stay in the network A. And below that amount, Fortnite will move to network B. So taking the Professor Ryle approach to the more general theory of Professor Porter and 5 forces model, you can see here that there is the 5 forces model design, so suppliers, firm, and buyers. This is the horizontal part of the model. And then you have entrants and substitutes that are, let's say, horizontal forces in the Porter model. But in the reality, there are a number of other potential entrants and a number of other potential substitutes. And there are a number of rival supplier, rival firms, and rival buyers. All these are competing continuously. So in the reality, everyone in this arena is competing to get the maximum amount of value it can get. And as an example, in the example we did of Fortnite, if Fortnite is getting less than the minimum, or it will move for other transactions. If it's getting more than the maximum, other players will leave Fortnite and looking for other transactions. And this is, let's say, a mental model especially important for the today economies that are based on platforms, on way in which players gather together and compete. For example, independent sellers of Amazon, riders of Just Eat, actors and directors creating movies for Netflix. All these kind of competitive behaviors come up from looking for values and maximizing the values within the range of 30 and 50 we have defined. So at the end, the value-based strategy is something that is enhancing and completing the 5 forces model, and the tier of strategy of Porter is completely coherent and complementary in terms of helping managers to take better decisions.